personal trainer, girl who goes to the gym, really passionate about nutrition, fitness, getting girls into the gym. And my first question for you is beginner lifters, specifically girls, what is the main mistake that they make when it comes to working out?
Right. Well, I think there are lots of different answers. I think the two main facets of this are probably mental and then also physical. So, from an exercises kind of perspective, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation that's quite easy to access on social media. And they'll see workouts that are sort of pinned as being aimed at hypertrophy, but in reality, they're not actually going to do shit for that sort of thing. But unfortunately, because they're so easy to access, girls will sort of see that, think that it's going to get them the results that they want, and do those sorts of exercises in the gym. I'm talking about, doing oblique training for a smaller waist, which is the absolute opposite of what's going to happen. Booty bands, they will not build muscle for you, unfortunately. Like that sort of thing, weird exercises that put you off balance so you don't have a stable base to build muscle. I think the main thing that girls need to do, sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here,
No, go
is
ahead.
stick to the basics. But the basics aren't the things that get engagement on social media. So instead, you're seeing a bunch of really strange exercises that aren't going to build muscle. And yeah, they do them instead because they don't know any better.
So like
And I think that's sort of, yeah.
so like the exercises that get most traction on social media amongst beginners aren't the ones that are effective. So it leaves them just without
Exactly.
results. I see.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where the second mistake comes in, which is expectations.
Mm,
Um, there's again a lot on social media where girls will be promised that they get results within a certain time frame,
mm.
and in reality, it's just not true. I'm sorry for anyone like listening out there that thinks they're going to get abs in 2 weeks from doing, like a 15-minute ab workout a day. That is not how that works at
Mm.
all. And I think that can leave people who have distorted expectations of how long things should take, feeling very disappointed, quite disheartened. Um, like, I mean, I've been lifting for about 2 years now.
2 years.
Um,
And you
two
have,
years, but
very good physique. So that's around the
thank
timeline
you.
that is accurate.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're doing everything right, which I wasn't at the beginning, I think you could expect to see results within the first 6 months,
Mm,
but there's no way that you're going to realistically achieve your dream physique if
mm.
that involves, building a nice bum and then also having abs. Like that is not realistic in like a week time frame or a month time frame. You're talking years,
That's
but
right.
that
Yeah.
isn't talked about nearly enough,
Mm.
leading to really really high expectations which are completely unrealistic.
And that will just demotivate them when after the 2 weeks or 1 month they look pretty similar to what they started at, right?
100%, 100%.
Mm,
And it can
mm,
go two ways from there, I think either they'll give up completely or they'll start taking more extreme measures, both of
mm.
which aren't brilliant.
So if you were talking to a young girl or guy even looking to get into the gym and they're looking at their Chloe Tings and the 10-minute hit workouts, which I think we've all done as gym people, right? Gym bros and gym girls.
Oh, for
What would
sure.
you say to focus on instead? Like, what are the basics that you mentioned to build that bum and the abs and realistically to get it?
Realistically, I mean, just a quick disclaimer, there is nothing wrong with Chloe Ting if you're trying to go from like very, very beginner to getting fitter, but don't mistake it for being like a hypertrophy program because it's not. It's cardio essentially. So that would be or like Pilates. I think the thing I would say if you're trying to build muscle, follow accredited PTs if you're getting all your information from social media. Honestly, social media is really valuable. I mean, I learned a lot of what I learned from watching PTs on like Instagram reels.
Mm,
But I'd also say fact check. People
mm,
like Jeff Nippard are great because everything he says are like it's backed up with
mm.
studies. Yeah,
Science.
I would say Science, exactly. I would say to start with, keep it really basic, your squats, RDLs, some sort of unilateral movement, like split squats, as horrible as they
Mm.
are, they're super effective.
The real bum
Hip
builders, yes?
thrusts,
Yes, yes.
exactly. If you want to build your bum, you've got to target it with weighted movements, like 3 to 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps.
Mm.
Honestly, I think anywhere between sort of 6 and 30 reps have been found to grow muscle. Wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest doing 30 reps of squats because you will
Mm.
be on the floor at the end.
Mm.
Um, but I mean that as long as you're within that range, once you know what you're doing, it's pretty
Mm.
easy. It's like
Okay.
incredibly simple once you've got the basics
Mm.
down.
But let's say we're talking to someone who is a bit more like us in the sense that they've been going to the gym for a while, have the
Mhm.
basics down, their protein, all of this sorted. What are
Mhm.
some mistakes that you see girls in specific make, even when they're a bit more advanced?
God, that's a really good question, actually. Um, I think once you get to a certain level of gym, at least with girls, it's almost like sort of two pathways that you arrive at. Like either going down the full sort of like muscle mummy route,
Mm.
um,
Like TikTok,
or
big
almost like
girl,
more of
muscles,
like absolutely
tattoos on the
jacked,
bicep, that type of thing.
exactly like big traps, that sort of thing,
Hmm.
which I really respect. Or the other way, which is almost like you feel as if you've got too bulky,
Mm.
and then you feel the need to sort of completely stop training upper body, maybe take up like Pilates or running, which again is totally fine. I mean, girls already know at that stage, they already know all of the information. It tends to be what they do with it,
Mm.
I think. Like drastically cutting calories because they feel like they've got too bulky. I would say that's probably not the best way to go.
Mm.
Because reducing your calories by so much, obviously you're going to start losing muscle. Um, I
Right.
mean, it really depends on the goals, honestly.
Mm.
It depends on the goals, and I feel like perhaps image, like body image, can slightly distort how you go about getting to them.
Okay, okay. So there's a sort of, once you get to a certain level, maybe some girls don't want to be so big in the upper body, or some girls start having ideas about, not wanting to be so big in the arms or wanting to get to a
Mm.
certain size or weight, and then it becomes a sort of choice, a trade-off between what you want and, whether you're going to do the things to get there or whether those things are actually healthy to do and whether that's a healthy thing to want, you know?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right? Okay, okay, okay. So let's shift the conversation to nutrition now. Um,
Okay, yeah.
Generally in the gym community, nutrition sort of starts and ends with protein, and that's pretty much it. You get a gram per pound, or if you're scientific, you get like 0.75 or 8 gram per pound of body weight,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's that. Nutrition sorted. You're healthy. And protein, obviously, satiating, right? And especially if you're trying to lose
Hmm,
weight, build
hmm.
muscle, really essential. It's probably the first step I'd take for most people. But specifically, what are some things you find gym people, and I think this is something that even advanced gym people miss about gut health and micronutrients? What what are the main things that we should know about all of that and why they're
That's
important?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Super interesting. Um, bef After I became, a bit of a gym rat, my mum became a nutritionist. So
Mm.
recently in my house, there's sort of been like an influx of gut health information. So I feel like I know a fair bit about it, and it's been really interesting seeing how gut health was like marries the gym lifestyle.
Mm.
I feel like in terms of nutrition, a lot of gym rats will focus on the macros.
Mm.
Hitting your protein, making sure you've got enough carbs before a workout. If you're cutting, sort of like dropping your fat levels. Um, I think something that's completely neglected, especially in like, like the bro diet,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
the
If it fits your
bodybuilding,
macros,
is
man, just get your
yeah,
200
if it
grams
fits
of
your macros,
carbs
that's
of like jelly
uh-huh,
beans.
uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of thing. Um, Honestly, I was gonna say no hate to that, but honestly, hate to that. I'm not a big fan of it because your gut health is so important, like so important.
Why? What
Um,
does gut health do? Like two people, one with
Well,
great gut health, one without. Like, what's
yeah.
the difference
If
there?
I'm
What's the
being
delta?
like completely frank, lots is still being discovered about it, but there seems to be like a direct link with gut health and mental health, which is
Mm,
super interesting. Like someone with poor gut health is much more likely to have some sort of mental disorder like depression than
mm,
someone with good gut health. Also to do with your energy levels, people with good gut health don't tend to overeat as much. You tend to find going to the toilet easier.
mm.
A bit crass, but true.
Yeah.
Um, and like your skin will be better, your hair will be better on like a more superficial level. But also like in terms of like guarding off like diseases later in life, you know, like it's a lot later. I think the thing that people don't realize is that the impact of gut health will affect you much later in life.
Mm. In what way?
Um, like cardiovascular disease,
Mm,
metabolic disorders, that sort of thing, they tend to come on a bit later, but you're sort of building towards that now.
mm. Okay.
So yeah, I think what a lot of gym rats, to answer your question, what a lot of gym rats miss out on is micronutrients.
Mm,
So, you know, your vitamins, your calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, manganese, all of those sorts of things tend to get a bit overlooked in
mm,
the quest to sort of perfect your macros. What I've been using recently actually is it's a bit of an eye opener, honestly.
mm.
There's this online webpage called Chronometer,
Yeah.
um, and you can basically type in what you eat for a day, and it will calculate all of your macros and your micros. Now, I'm in quite a lucky position in that I've been raised to eat very well because my dad's
Mm,
a
mm.
doctor, my mum's a nutritionist.
Yeah.
So my macros are actually really good.
Mm.
um,
But a
but
lot of
that's sort of
people's won't be. You're the exception there.
exactly. It's yeah, not to toot my own horn. I think I'm more of an exception than the
Mm,
rule.
mm. So
Like I think the
micronutrients
average yeah,
are very important for gut health. Is that correct?
100%, yeah.
So what are the main micronutrients that people and gym rats, let's say, are missing? And how could that affect their energy and their mood and all of this other important stuff and potentially their ability to train as hard as they want and feel as good as they do it?
Right. Well, I'm not sure about the gym rat community specifically, but the general population in terms of micros
Mm,
or, you know, general components of what we eat, we're always very low in vitamin D.
mm,
Um, that's one of them. Calcium tends to be pretty low. Iron always tends to be low. I think it's quite individual to the person.
mm.
One thing though is fiber. Fiber is a massive one that people forget about quite a lot of the time. I think we need about 30 grams of fiber a day. The average American gets 13,
God.
which is, yeah, I know it's not great. Um, but yeah, I think it's quite individual to the person what vitamins and minerals will
Mm,
miss out on because people tend to have a
mm,
regular kind of pattern of eating where they'll stick to the same
mm.
fruits and veg and not diversify your diet. I think that's
Yeah.
the main thing. People need to diversify their diet.
I mean, most people eat
Um,
the same 3 or 4 or 5 meals on repeat. They just, don't
yeah,
really.
like rotating them. Yeah.
And, that's fine so long as you choose good meals, right? You know,
Yeah.
that's the issue.
I think a good question to ask would be, you know, what are the most mineral and vitamin dense
That's
fruits and
exactly my
veg
next
that you can
question.
eat?
Gym bro, let's say you're a bit of a gym bro, okay? You scroll on the
Hmm.
TikTok, you see your Sam Sulek, all of this. You work out, you eat your cereal with your protein milk in it, and whatever, you
Yeah.
like no vegetables every day. Let's say you want to have a breakfast.
Like the Cocoa Pops straight
Exactly,
into
Cocoa
like the beef
Pops.
and rice and then the
Exactly.
like mince and rice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of thing. Let's say you want your
Yeah, we've all
micronutrients,
been
you want to
there.
be healthy, but let's say you're really
Yeah.
lazy. Okay, so you want
Okay.
to get it all
Okay.
done in breakfast. You want a high protein breakfast with all your
Okay.
micronutrients. What are the
Oh,
foods that
that's
need
a
to be
bit of
focusing
a
on there? Not all, but let's
that's a
say a
bit of
good
an
amount.
ask.
Let's say a good
Good
amount.
amount. Okay. Well, I would say salmon is amazing if you can
Mm,
afford it. To be
mm.
fair, though, I went to Sainsbury's yesterday for all the UK people. This is actually quite helpful. I got 4 portions of salmon for about £3 in the frozen section, which
Ah,
is pretty good,
not
actually,
bad. Not
for
not
salmon
bad at
at
all.
least. not bad with salmon.
Okay.
But you know, that's got your vitamin D, it's got some calcium in there. It's got your omega 3s and omega 6s, which
Mhm.
are amazing for
For
you.
brain health, yes.
Um, yeah, yeah, B vitamins.
Mm.
Yeah,
What
some
about
folate,
berries
not a lot.
and like yogurt and berries, that type of concoction?
Okay, yeah. Moving on to berries. Berries are so vitamin dense. I think probably the best fruits though to go for are things like kiwis.
Mm.
Super high in vitamin C. One kiwi has almost got all of your vitamin C.
Mm.
Um, I feel like a lot of gym rats won't struggle with this, but having milk as well.
Mm.
Again, you've got your B vitamins, you've got your calcium. Um, I mean, you can't really get it in the UK, but if you can find acai, that's
Mm.
amazing for
Mm.
minerals.
Mm.
Very high in what is it? I'm trying to remember now. Geez, I think it's like manganese, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah.
Um, yeah, something like that.
Superfood, to
um,
use that term.
Superfood. Yeah,
So,
yeah, but you're right. Like berries, kiwis, leafy greens like spinach, super high in vitamin A. Yeah,
mm, mm.
vitamin A, vitamin K.
So
Yeah,
the 80/20 of it would be replace maybe that mince and rice with some rice and salmon, chuck some spinach in
yeah.
there, then have a
Uh-huh.
kiwi and some berries with a big bowl of yogurt with your breakfast. And that should be an easy
Yeah.
way to at least take the first few steps towards better mood, better
Oh,
poop, better
100%.
sleep, and all of this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay,
I mean, I
okay.
think for fiber, things like broccoli are amazing, like
Mm,
cruciferous vegetables, and also like beans. Beans are
mm,
amazing.
mm,
Also quite high in protein. Like mix some beans in with your rice and you're good to go.
mm. I mean, I know that there is, a subsection of being online that
Hmm.
do really value healthy eating and all of this, and it's a growing movement, a growing trend. But there is
Yeah,
also
yeah.
an equal and opposite trend of, gym bros and gym people who really just lift and that's it. And obviously,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
start somewhere, but you as a content creator on social media, how have you been going about making engaging content that promotes both lifting and also healthy eating, which may not even maximize hypertrophy, but will also improve mood and sleep and mental health and longevity and lifespan and all of this important stuff? How have you gone about, making types of content that touch both sides?
Honestly, I've been slacking a little bit with the content recently. I've
Mm,
been trying to figure out that exact question, how best to sort of marry the two together. Because I think it is a growing niche, but it's still pretty small.
right.
Um, I think, yeah, there's definitely a balance to be found between those two things in content. But yeah, I've mainly just been trying to figure out what works best for me because I think you really need to sort of know yourself before you can project onto other people.
Mm, mm,
So I've been experimenting with different food groups and different macro splits for what
mm,
works for me, the best way to reach my micros a day,
mm,
and then how to, marry that with going to the gym. And honestly, it's pretty easy.
mm.
But I'm now trying to find a way where I can sort of put that to the people, so to speak.
To the people, yes,
To the
yes.
people, to the people. But I mean, what's what's great is that you'll find sorry, you'll find so many sort of macros and micros in high quality proteins. That's the thing I would stress.
Mm.
You're talking about your fish, your cod, your salmon, your tuna, steak,
Protein.
chicken, turkey mince, all of those high quality sources of protein, eggs. Absolutely amazing, amazing. I know they're hyped up a lot, but they honestly deserve it. Um, it's so easy to hit your micros if you're also prioritizing good sources of protein.
Mm,
If you're eating, I do use whey. Whey's great. It's really helpful. Um, but it's not the best when it comes to your micronutrients, whereas other high quality sources of meat and fish are.
mm.
Um, so
High
honestly,
quality meats.
as long as you're prioritizing them, it's both easy to hit your protein and much easier to hit your micros.
I see. So high quality meats, uh,
Mm-hmm.
beans, legumes, vegetables, fruits, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Right.
100%. Also, quite a handy tip for anyone who's cutting, like trying to lose weight. All of those things are super satiating as well. Super
Yes,
satiating,
yes.
like high in fiber, high quality protein. It's going to do wonders for yeah, satisfying your appetite.
I mean, technically, you can cut eating just Snickers bars, but you'll be very hungry, very
A
annoyed,
lot
and
harder.
also
Your
feel
energy is just going
shit.
to be everywhere. Exactly, you're going to feel
Mm.
like it.
So maybe don't do that, right?
Mm, mm.
Okay.
Perhaps not. Perhaps not. It's doable, but I would not recommend it.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the gym girl pipeline that you mentioned. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
obviously we're talking about the split at the end where you can be a muscle mommy or you can go, train legs a bit more and sort of be a bit more dainty, and there's nothing wrong with either choice there. I wanted to talk to
Mm,
you
mm.
a bit about, at least from what I see, and there's a bit of a prevalence amongst girls who once had eating disorders and then going to the gym. What would you say is the sort
Right.
of relationship there between girls with eating disorders, like ED, for example, and going to the gym?
Okay. Well, I mean, I can talk from personal experience. The lockdown was not a good time for me
Mm,
because I think that's when, for a lot of people, a lot of girls and guys, um, online workouts became a big thing that we sort of looked to keep fit, um, which was great at first. But I think when it starts almost like over promising what you're going to look like at the end of whatever program they give you, like
mm,
abs in 2 weeks, and you don't have abs, and then you're also isolated from everyone. You don't really see many people aside from yourself and maybe close family. You look in the mirror a lot, and then I think you can start to spiral.
mm,
Um, I don't know if that's a thing that's happened to a lot of people, but a lot of people that I know who have gone to the gym have had something very similar happen to them who are
mm.
my age. Because also young, impressionable. I mean, I think I
Right.
was 16 when lockdown happened, which is,
Mm,
teenagers and body dysmorphia sort of, they're quite closely interlinked, aren't they? Like at that
mm.
age, you're pretty insecure in your body. So then
Especially
when you're
amongst
told by
girls, yeah.
whoever, yeah, when you're told by whoever that you're gonna have, yeah, abs in 2 weeks by doing like a 10-minute exercise every day, and then you
Mm,
don't see them, you start to become very dissatisfied with your
mm.
body.
So
Yeah,
you feel dissatisfied?
I would, yeah,
I mean,
yeah, definitely at the time.
mm,
And then when everything opened up, I was lucky enough to sort of be able to transfer my efforts to the gym and
mm.
listen to actual quality sources of information, get my facts straight, and then actually make progress.
Do you think the gym can
Um,
help with body dysmorphia?
um, Double-edged sword, I
Mm.
think.
Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, again, this is just like all analogous, but I think if you're in a bad place, it can definitely help you. It's a great outlet for frustration, for sort of internal aggression. But then I think also gym culture, again, I could talk about social media for hours.
Mm,
Like so many people that you see are juicing in some way or another.
mm,
And they can either be honest about it or dishonest about it. But the fact is they're still doing it and you're
mm,
not. And that will definitely build dissatisfaction there where you see your body, which is natural, versus someone who's enhanced, and you can't help but compare.
mm.
Like there's
It's
that
like
meme,
a
like me
automatic
comparing
comparison.
myself to like, yeah, it's like me comparing myself to like grown men on steroids, and then it's like I'm natural and a woman. It's
Can't
like it makes no sense to do it, but you can't help but almost
help
sort of
it.
compare because they're there, because you're
Mm.
seeing them.
Your brain
So I
automatically
think that
just
can
does that, especially if you're
100%. We're
already
humans.
a
We
little bit
compare.
predisposed to that body dysmorphia, that sort of,
100%. You're almost like primed to do it,
mm, mm.
which can also build body dysmorphia.
How
So
would
I feel like
you,
it can
if you
help,
were,
but it can also increase it.
yeah, of course, social media, you have mentioned, definitely exacerbates this problem. How would you,
Yeah.
if you were a young girl, talking to a young girl, let's say, who uses social
Yeah.
media and looks at these gym pictures and compares herself to these muscly girls and guys who some of which are on steroids, and that's degrading her mental health. How do you go about maybe developing a more healthy relationship there with social media? Is it cutting it all off completely? Is it not following certain people? How does that work?
Right. Well, I think if I was like a parent or something, I would say just delete social media. But like realistically, teenage girl deleting social media is probably not going to happen. So what I would say is that if you can't cut something out,
Mm,
bring in more positive influences to almost like overpower them, like overshadow them.
mm,
Have people on your page who are natural. Because I think there's a rise of lots of girls' pages where there'll be like almost a side by side of them where they're posed versus unposed, and it's a great reality check to sort of
mm,
show that people who are fitness influencers on social media won't always look like their pictures. They also bloat. They can
mm.
also be a little bit fluffy in the right lighting. It'll look like they don't have cellulite where they do. I think those sorts of things are amazing to
Amazing.
gain
Okay.
perspective. Yeah,
So
but then also
following
following
those
like
people.
solid sources of information as well. Yeah, like I said, like the Jeff Nippards of
Mm. I mean,
Jeremy Etiers, that sort of thing.
they have been, there has been a real inflation, I think, of physiques on social media, especially due to the
Oh,
shortification.
100%.
Like the
Yeah.
shortification of the last 5 or 6 years, the TikToks, the
Yeah.
IG
Yeah.
Reels, YouTube Shorts.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, someone like Jeff Nippard is, at least in the social media space, not considered that big. And maybe 6 years ago, he was
Yeah.
absolutely just a unit. It's a completely different
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
It's entirely
Yeah.
unrealistic because if you
Completely.
walk past Jeff Nippard, you think, God damn, he's probably the biggest guy in any like recreational gym. But you're
Massive.
looking at
Yeah.
guys with elite genetics and girls with elite
Like
genetics, elite,
a
like
sea of steroids. He looks
sub-Saharan
tiny,
Africa,
which is just
or
insane. Yeah.
on
Hmm.
steroids, sometimes perfect lighting, perfect pump, for like professional photographer, everything
Hmm.
done to make them look as big as possible. And don't get me wrong, they're massive,
Yeah.
but
But with like, yeah, but like with
Jesus, it's not
exposure, that's
good.
been normalized. So
Mm.
we've set a new normal in our heads. That is not normal at
It's
all.
a
Yeah, you're right. Like the perfect lighting,
mm.
steroids, amazing cameraman.
It's
Like
a
that is not
physique hedonic
normal.
adaptation. That's what it is. It is physical
Yeah,
hedonic adaptation to other people's
I
physiques.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
and it's one of those things that, especially in the gym, I think a lot of guys do develop some sort of body dysmorphia because
Mm.
you're in there, you have a pump, you look big, the lighting usually do quite good, then you leave, you lose the pump, and you're like, oh, I look small. And that
Yeah,
paired with social
yeah, for
media,
sure.
it's like God,
Yeah,
awful,
there's just so much noise. Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you're bigger than like you've ever been, but you don't feel that way. I think
Mm-hmm. Because again, you're comparing yourself to like a man who's been on steroids like the last 10 years.
have you seen
Yeah.
that graph, the Dunning-Kruger effect? How at the very beginning you're super
Mhm.
confident and skilled because you know nothing about it. Then you dip and then you slowly gain confidence as you get better.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
sort of like thinking how big you are as a guy. 4 months
Mm.
working out, you think you're absolutely massive. You're bigger than everyone in the gym,
Big
even though you're
guy.
not.
Yeah.
It's objectively not. And then it jumps off the cliff like one and a half years in, maybe two, like like after newbie gains. And then it slowly
Mm.
builds up until you're like pretty big by the time you're like 5 or 6 years in. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way of describing it. Yeah. Because I
God,
think
yeah.
that's realistic as well. When you said 5 to 6 years, I mean, that is realistic. If you're trying to build like your best body, it's which we're taking years.
Mm,
No quick fixes, no quick fixes, unless you're
no quick
getting
fixes
a
at all.
BBL. But
Ah,
obviously, that doesn't
those don't
count.
really work.
I mean, that's another thing that you could talk about on social media, like
People
gym
lying about
influencers who have
BBLs.
like amazing bums, and
Mm,
then they don't tell you that it's actually made,
mm.
with plastic, not with
Top
muscle.
three most annoying things that you see with female gymfluencers.
Oh, okay. One thing that I've been seeing a lot of recently, actually, which is quite interesting, um, are what I eat in a days,
Mm,
where they massively over project the amount of calories they eat in a day.
mm,
So it'll be like what I eat in a day, 5'2" girl with abs who says that her maintenance is like 2,800 calories,
no, it's not.
you know?
That's more than my maintenance.
Exactly. Exactly. And then they'll show you everything that they eat and it looks amazing. And then you're like, oh my God, why can't I eat that? There must be something wrong with me. Or like, I need to eat more. And then you get fat,
But
right?
it's all
Um,
lies.
exactly. That's the thing. She's probably taking like 3 or 4 different things that she's eaten over those days, like a couple of days. And compiled it all into one day. Like
Mm,
she's not eating that. She's literally 5'2" and she's a girl, weighs maybe like 120 pounds or like 50 something kilos. Her maintenance is literally going to be like 1800.
mm.
Um, so that's a bit annoying. It's a bit
Second
annoying
thing.
because it. Oh God. Okay. Second thing. Yeah, I guess glute workouts where the exercises they use are really shit.
Mm,
Luckily, I've tailored my feed to be pretty great. My feed is pretty solid.
mm,
Um, but when I think I was beginning, there were lots of really, really strange exercises that I saw popping up
mm,
for glutes, which just did not make any sense and they probably wouldn't work.
mm,
Like leg press, except instead of sitting on it normally, they're sort of like horizontally sitting on it and then pressing their leg up and away, or like
mm,
kickbacks on the stairmaster. It's not
mm,
going to work. It's not
mm.
going to work. So that's pretty annoying. And then I think also when women lie about their natty status,
That
that's
is
not
3.
great either.
That's not great either.
Yeah, that is three.
Yeah.
It is not great either.
I mean,
Yeah, that would probably
there's
be my top three.
a real incentive in terms of social media. If you lie, you get more followers, more sponsorships. You don't have to work. You make all this
Oh
money,
yeah, it's all about
status,
engagement.
all of
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
and it's real pernicious.
yeah.
It's real pernicious. Not only because there's the incentive structure set up this way, but also social media
Mhm.
algorithms in the sense that they want to keep you on. You want to look at beautiful people, whether that's because you're horny or jealous or whatever, or just expiring. So there's all this incentive, both you know AI wise in terms of the software and also people's incentive to lie and post, do all the good lighting to basically keep you on there
Yeah,
a little bit unhappy, really. So that's a
yeah,
real
yeah.
issue, isn't it? Yeah.
Hmm.
And back to that bum thing that you mentioned, I think a good rule of thumb is that if you can't imagine a big jack bodybuilder doing it, it's probably not an exercise that's going to grow your bum. I think
Mm.
that's a general heuristic that might be accurate. Not always, obviously. I struggle to think of, I don't know, C-bum doing hip thrusts, although I would love to see that. Okay, last question because we're running low on time here. If you
Okay.
could get one thing through to girls with a bit of an eating disorder starting the gym, one mindset shift, one idea, what would that be?
Oh my God. That is a loaded question. Obviously, if you do have an eating disorder, please seek help. Um, I would say go to therapy first, but if you're sort of in a slightly unhealthy mindset, eating disorder aside, we're not thinking about that right now. You shouldn't be, looking for different ways to exercise if you have got an ED. First, seek proper professional help. No, but let's say they've looked at clothing, they're not feeling happy with their body anymore, that sort of
Mm,
thing. I would
yeah,
say drown out the misinformation with information. Follow accredited people. She has no accreditation. She's not a personal trainer, despite what she might say. Follow people who have a proper degree in whatever you're trying to do. So, like looking at hypertrophy, look at people who have done like degrees in anatomy and physiology and have
Jeff
decided to make
Nippard,
content because,
Dr. Mike
yeah,
Israetel. What are some female
Dr.
examples?
Mike
Because I
Israetel. Oh God. Honestly, none is springing to mind right now. I mainly follow guys because it translates really well across to female muscle
yeah,
building as
muscle is
well.
muscle.
Um, exactly, muscle is muscle. So yeah, like you said, Dr. Mike Israetel, Jeremy Etier, Jeff Nippard, follow
Mm,
these people. They have really, really clear ways to build muscle.
mm.
Um, and yeah, follow nutritionists,
For
follow
nutritionists.
dietitians,
Mm.
follow nutritionists. They're
But
more accredited. Yeah, just follow people who have degrees to back up the things they're saying.
in summary, you want to keep it simple with lifting, follow accredited people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get your protein, eat whole foods, be nutritionally
Uh-huh.
satisfied, get your micronutrients.
Yes.
You also
Yeah.
want to stay away from social media because it's a system that's designed to keep you there with people who just want your attention because they're lying about steroids and lighting and all of this. So
I
follow
wouldn't
only
even say stay
healthy,
away from social media. Just follow people to drown out
follow people who
the
drown it all
shit.
out. Follow the good people, not the bad. Running low on time here. So,
Exactly.
Chloe, really pleasure having you here. Really great conversation. If you want
Hmm.
people to find you, whereabouts can they find you?
It's Chloe R Fitness on Instagram.
Amazing. Real pleasure. Really great conversation. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.